note on roll call that all members were present and, we'll go on into oral communications. This is the opportunity to address the audit committee on any scheduled matter unless additional time is authorized by the committee. All commentary shall be limited to 3 minutes per individual and no more than 15 minutes total. Any oral communications in here? And we don't have any on virtually?
No, yeah.
Then we will continue to the scheduled matters.
did it.
Get over here. Please note that Mr. Taylor has arrived.
Please note that.
Good,
Please
because you
note
said
that.
everyone was present.
That was just about to ask.
Yeah.
She was telepathic, she
Yeah.
knew.
Okay, then now we'll go into the scheduled matters, the approval of the draft minutes. Everybody's had time to read the October 25th minutes.
I would move for approval.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. No further discussion. Please signify by saying aye. Your
Aye.
approval. Aye. Note that it's all unanimous. Then we'll go into number 2, review and update of investment policy. And who will be doing that, Maria?
No.
Patrice? Somebody- I'm sorry.
Nice try, Maria.
I still try.
I'll need to talk to you when the meeting's over.
Mhm.
And I'm
out
serious
town.
on that, okay? I will talk to you when the meeting's over.
Oh, uh-oh, you're in trouble now.
Thought it was gonna be me, but it's you.
Please continue, Maria.
Okay, so our statement of investment policy, which has not been updated since June of 2006. So back then, we used to come to council every year for an annual affirmation. That was back when there was a big thing in Santa somewhere down south on investments, and so we had to recertify annually. But that stopped in 2006, so we never came back until now.
Oh,
Okay,
So I went through the policy. The basic objectives are the same. I did make some additions to it. I changed, so I can go through the changes. Yeah.
that makes sense.
So the introduction scope are the same. Under the philosophy, I changed the minimum amount that needs to be maintained in available funds from 2.5 million to a percentage, 6% of the adopted operating budget for all funds, which is about $6 million. And we do have a lot, over 40 million in liquid funds, actually, so we should be covered. I took out some, a sentence there about the commercial paper and bankers acceptances. We don't really need it. So, made some changes on, the third paragraph on the types of purchases that we do, and included what we are actually doing right now, treasury agencies, certificates of deposits. So I included those. And then we kind of just also rearranged the sections and also made additions. So like I said, the objectives remain the same: safety, liquidity, and yield, which I kind of just explained a little bit on the policy. The prudent investor standard remains the same. I added on page 3 the ethics and conflicts of interest. And under delegation of authority, I at the last one had actually the names of city employees as authorized investment officers: John Lawless, and Maria Benitez. So we never changed it.
Yeah.
So what I did is just, use the city treasurer / finance director. So whoever is in that position
Okay.
is the.
Use
authorized-
titles instead of names.
Yeah. I'm not pretty sure where we did that.
Makes sense.
I think I added the safekeeping and custody section. That is just safekeeping with third-party custodians. We make investments, from different, companies, and they just keep them, up there.
Mhm.
So that's the safekeeping and custody portion. I also added internal controls. So, so the finance director will be responsible for maintaining internal control. And include separation of duties and confirmation, wire transfers, and all that.
This sounds like make the auditors happy language.
And we are doing that. So we have, two approvers for wire transfers
Mhm.
and all that stuff, so. Authorized financial dealers and institutions. We are currently working with several dealers. I have them before, so I just added that section also. To make sure that if we add another dealer, that they provide financial statements, proof that they have certification. I think it's possible, yes.
Okay.
Under authorized investments, they are pretty much the same. I don't think that changed much in there. But the, I added a new investment pool, the California number 11, the California Cooperative Liquid Assets Security System, or CLASS. They are a pretty new investment pool for public agencies.
Which one is this?
Number 11,
Oh, number 11.
and they have pretty good, really good, the best I've seen interest rates.
And this is all consistent with that statement in the very beginning, right, what you pointed out, where you
Yeah.
were limited to, okay. This is
So
just further
pretty much,
clarification
yeah.
of those, okay.
And it just actually enumerates what are the authorized investment.
Okay.
Actually, it was pointed out to me by our auditors a couple of days ago, that our investment policy does not include capital stocks, which we do have capital stocks in water shares.
Mhm.
So.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
Yes. So I am going to add that to this policy also. But,
But it's different because we're not really holding them for the investment value so much as we are wanting them for the actual water, right?
yeah.
So
but
is it a
they
little
have
different?
It has a monetary value.
Oh, so we still have to consider it even though.
So we do, we
Okay.
have been including it in our financial report as capital stock.
Okay,
So that was,
Okay.
kind of, he
Okay.
saw that and he said, it's not in your policy. But I would probably just say capital stock, but limited to water shares
okay,
in water companies within the area,
okay.
something like that, instead of us
That's a good idea.
buying Coca-Cola or.
Yeah.
So that's gonna get added to this then?
Yes.
Okay.
Before I go to council or before it goes to council.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I like the I.
Oh, not me. I will add it.
It's we,
But it will
use the
be-
we, I always
So
like. to
that
use the
it
we.
will be ready for the next council meeting. So there's just a little bit more changes. Diversification requirements are pretty much the same. Maturities, we don't invest in securities that are greater than 5 years. And I added a periodic reporting, which we do quarterly. And the investment policy adoption, which I didn't say annual review of it, but just periodically, if there's some kind of change in statutes or any new investment. And also that any modifications will need to be approved by city council. That's it. So.
My only comment, so on the ethics part, we should probably, when it's time to update our local conflicts of interest policy, we should make sure that this is consistent with that, because this may be addition to what we already have in there. I don't know.
Which we'll be doing this year.
Oh, then yeah.
So, do you want me to review it and change it before it goes to city council?
So is that sentence gonna be okay that it's reviewed periodically?
Yeah. I don't think it needs to come back if everybody's happy with what's
This
in
is
there.
what I was gonna say. Is everyone comfortable with one of the changes we made? We don't need to see them, do we? Do we need to bring them here?
I don't think they have to come back
No,
here. I
they
think
just
as
need to
long
be
as,
corrected, changed and
And-
revised.
right.
Yeah, I just need to add the capital stock as an
Mhm.
authorized investment for the city.
Make the changes and the revisions, and if the audit committee is comfortable with that.
I mean, I can move to, we can do like a motion to approve subject and have it forwarded. Approve a recommendation that it be approved with the change, subject to the
Audit committee.
changes of the finance department in conjunction with auditor recommendations.
That'd be good. And we have a motion on the table in a second. Is there any further discussion? Did anyone have any questions of Maria while we have her sitting here? To say, no, there are no questions. All right, then signify that approval by saying aye.
Aye.
All right, then we'll move on to the next item, the review process for city community civic events.
So we have actually Eureka that's going to be presenting this item.
Hi, Enrico.
So at the last meeting, we had discussed, or we had, mentioned the criteria for applying for the community civic event. We had thrown some ideas around, and we had, taken it back and started working on what an application could look like. But we kind of, I don't know, we're thinking we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves. So what we've been doing is we've been comparing the applications from other cities to see what their rates look like, what their criteria looks like, kind of looking at the different types of applications. And we've been looking at quite a few. So we looked at city of Visalia, we looked at city of Lindsay, San Luis Obispo. We also pulled up city of Stockton. So we've been looking at a few different ones and kind of put different elements of each application and putting them together. We don't have an application ready yet because we're still molding on what it could look like and then depending on council direction. But that's part of the things that we've been looking at. Also looking at the current community civic event ordinance and finding out whether that's going to have to be amended or how it's going to be presented. So that's another element of that. I've also been working on a fee study for the current cost of what it takes for city services to be provided. So kind of breaking it down on the time it takes to review the applications, having public works go out there and put out barricades, if police assistance is needed, what are we building for that? So I'm working on a spreadsheet for that we'll be bringing back on kind of what the costs are and helping that determine what an application fee might look like if council decides to implement an application fee. Also looking at the difference between the special event permit separate from the community civic event application. So do we want to have two separate applications? Do we want to mold them into one? So we'll be presenting two different ones and seeing how council wants to proceed. And then I think just looking at putting it all together and maybe presenting an item to council or here first before moving it up and seeing how
Yeah,
council.
like Eureka said, we're looking at different policies, different
to what other jurisdictions, are doing. This is, not a phenomenon. It's not, a new thing. We're seeing this across the state, different areas. But of looking at what's the expense, to the taxpayer for these types of events when we go out to set up the closures for be a road closure, a parking lot closure, comparing that with this, oftentimes a for-profit type of commercial event compared to like a community civic event such as like a parade or festival. So we're just evaluating to bring back some options and some recommendations to this committee that would then be having a scheduled matter for the city council.
We thought it would be helpful for you to have a frame of reference because I don't think, have ever really done a deep dive on exactly how much the city really is
Spending.
for just a civic event.
Yeah.
And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna look at different levels of civic events, the parade being quite costly to, one of the events held, more information boost type event in the park. Just be very, transparent in terms of like everything. We want to just capture all of the costs.
Well, in all honesty, if we want to look at potential fee structures, we have to do
We
that
need to
anyway.
do that. We need to do that. So that's kind of what we're working on now is we're going to do this cost analysis. And then when you go to the special event, which is a private for-profit event for a business, then, where is this fee structure going to land? Because it gets into a legal question, whether can we do in lieu or in kind services if it's a for-profit and they're charging a cover at the door, and then here we're expending city services.
Certainly not without charging,
Right, so
because that's a gift of public funds.
Right. So it's quite an.
There has to be a defined community benefit to justify spending, because city money is taxpayer money, right? So
it's kind of confusing as well. So what we
Yeah.
thought the interface for the public would be is like, if you go onto the website, we'll have like a flow chart. Is your event this? Yes or no? If no, you go this way. If yes, you go this way. And you'll work through it that way to determine whether it's a civic event or if it's a special event. So.
Did council have any, did this table have any questions right now as to where it's at? How about you, Rob? Do you have any questions to this particular item?
Nope.
Did
Can't wait to see what
you refrain you from comments?
the costs are with the other cities.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Don't you almost kind of think, geez, why didn't we do this a long time ago?
yeah, no kidding.
Because
We're so friendly and nice.
Yeah,
So if you look at like
it's gonna be a lot.
San Luis.
That's what I was afraid of. This
Yeah.
could
Yeah.
this could be
We've seen a couple anecdotal things that various cities are doing and charging, and yes, it can be a
And
lot.
if you look at like San Luis Obispo, they have basically set up like different parking lots, parks, and
They've designated,
partitions of right of way that people typically do, which are where you can have these events, and they have a specific price for each of those. I imagine because they have closed off those several times, and so they probably got their fee structure based
everyone's
on.
kind of used to that already.
yeah.
Correct.
And also the size, so I noticed a lot of them had, if you have under 200, it's gonna be a flat rate, so it's also depending on how big the event is, that the application fee is just a certain rate and not even including what's gonna be charged for city services.
They're trying to capture the burden
Yeah,
of extra people.
the review process of the application.
Well, I appreciate that the city is going through all the efforts to gather examples, fee structures, and then our fee schedule of whatever, for all the departments. And really looking at a cost analysis, because I think it's a lot of work and effort to do something that is as fair as we can be. So,
Well, I
Thank you for
appreciate
that.
what you brought to the table the last time when they brought us samples to
Yes.
look at, and we were able to see what some of that was. It's a lot to bring to the table.
Yeah, we can bring those back, since we don't have an application already or the actual fee structure, we thought it'd be better pretty fast.
Eureka, how much time do you think you need? You want to do that for the next meeting, or do you need more time than
I have
that?
it ready. I already have the spreadsheet for the departments to plug in. I just have to, after that, work on applications, but we first wanted to meet and look at that before.
And we
I'll
also
get
need
that
to
information together.
work on
Cost information, right?
cost information and ordinance information, so I think we can shoot for it, but I'm not 100% sure we
Yeah.
can meet that deadline.
We'll do our best.
Because I think we have the outline of, because with different applications, but we really need to work on kind of the draft policy based on other policies.
Yeah, the fee structure for sure sooner, but everything else, I guess, together, will take longer because we still have to review and.
Well, is this something you want to bring back with more information in March? Or do we want to do it for February?
This is an issue for March.
Let's
Then
shoot
let's
for
go for March,
Okay.
okay, for that item.
May as well give you plenty of time. Rather
Exactly,
than
that would,
maybe enough time is not as good as plenty of time.
right, okay. Anybody has any other questions?
You know what, I have one.
Please go ahead.
When an organization wants to, put on an event now, do they still go to the website and fill out, or is there a form they come to the counter and
Either.
fill out? You can go either way.
Either way.
Okay, anybody have any other questions? Move on to other matters. Do we have just other matter updates on those? Last time we had those items, at the last internal audit, just an update as to.
No problem.
It's not a
So
discussion.
the last internal audit meeting, Mr. Lawless was the one who was working with PSW as well as the fair board by the fairgrounds. I'll take over those conversations with PSW, as well as I'll reach out to the fair board to see if there was an interest. I know he had thought that there may be an interest of them to acquire the property, and Ms. Lou was looking at what our legal ability is even to do that. So I'll reach out to their executive director out there to see if that is
There's
a
a-
true interest currently, because it's gonna expend significant amount of time doing that research.
Yeah, I would couch that as, is there a burning desire to buy it?
Correct.
Not as just there a mild interest in buying it?
Correct.
Because we would have to try to figure out how that would actually work
So I
with the
think
surplus property
Would be
law.
much, very complicated,
Of course.
So I'll reach out in due diligence, but really as Ms. Lou said, but then I'll also reach out to PSW about their lease update. And so I'll reach out to them and have a conversation.
Okay. Is there any?
Let me ask this question. Since the large item will be coming back in March, do we want to meet in February? But if this is all we're going to do, we can actually schedule a meeting for March. And if this committee is good with that, if there's no further, then let's schedule the March meeting. And we'd like to February, so that in Maria's family.
Oh, you the
Smiling, the 25th? 27th? Okay, it's always around Julie's schedule, March 27th.
Well, I just want to avoid
Yeah.
the preceding Wednesday, I've got a.
March 27th at 4 o'clock.
Does that work for everybody though?
Yeah.
I was just presumptively thinking it would be the fourth Wednesday of the month.
Okay. Is there anything else for the good of the order here? Oh, one quick question. And that changes the committee representatives. And Patrice will be the member. And Don is no longer here. And Maria? Jane you will be our member. Okay. Thank you. And welcome aboard.
Recording in progress.
For some reason, I'm not entirely sure why, but the internet
Okay,
knocked out on me.
well,
It's fine though.
the next meeting is March 27th. It is 4:24. And the meeting is adjourned. Congratulations. Thank you.